I stopped eating the soup 2 weeks ago. At first, it was subtle, barely a spoonful less each time. I'd tilt the bowl, spill some down the drain, fake a full stomach with a soft smile. He'd ask, "Not hungry again?" And I'd nod, touching my forehead, pretending it was just one of my migraines. But the truth is, I'm terrified of him. Terrified of my own husband. I know how that sounds. I know what they'd say, that I'm being dramatic, paranoid, hormonal, unwell. Maybe I am. But I also know what I feel when I look into his eyes now. There's a blankness behind them that didn't used to be there. He watches me too closely, like he's memorizing my reactions. I started noticing it about a month ago, after I got sick for the third time in 2 weeks. Nausea, shaking, a dizzy kind of confusion like I was waking from anesthesia. And always, it came after dinner. He'd rub my back and say, "Maybe it's stress." He'd hand me a glass of water. "You've been overworking yourself again." He'd stroke my hair and smile so gently. "I'll take care of you." That's what he always says. "I'll take care of you." But it no longer sounds like love. It sounds like a threat dressed in silk. I went to the doctor. Twice. Ran every blood panel I could beg for. They looked at me with tired eyes, told me I was healthy, maybe even too healthy. One of them suggested a therapist. Another told me to get more sleep. "Have you considered you might be depressed?" he asked, tapping his pen. "I'm not depressed. I'm being poisoned, and no one believes me. That's the part that sticks in my throat more than the food. The silence of it. The invisibility of my fear. Everyone keeps telling me how lucky I am to have a husband like Mark. Thoughtful, steady, supportive. If only they knew what it felt like to wake up at 3 a.m. and catch him watching you sleep. If only they knew what it feels like to wonder, with every sip of tea, if today's the day he decides he's had enough of pretending. It wasn't always like this. Mark used to be the kind of man who warmed rooms just by walking into them. When we first met, he made me feel like I was the only thing in the world worth looking at. He didn't just listen. He heard me. He'd quote things I said days later. Things I'd forgotten I'd even said. I thought that meant he loved me deeply. Maybe it did. Back then. But something shifted around 6 months ago, after we moved into the new house on Hawthorne Lane. It was supposed to be a fresh start. A promotion for him, more space for me to write. But the moment we arrived, I felt muted, like the walls absorbed sound differently, like the house knew secrets we hadn't learned yet. Mark, on the other hand, thrived here. He took over the kitchen almost immediately. I used to cook, but he said I needed more rest. At first, I was grateful. Who wouldn't be? But then it became routine. He'd insist on preparing every meal. No exceptions. He'd hand me a glass of wine while he cooked and say, "Just relax, babe, let me spoil you." He started reminding me to take my supplements. I didn't remember asking him to. He brought me tea at the same time every evening, even when I didn't want it. And when I poured it into the plant by the window once, just to see if anything would happen, the leaves turned yellow by morning. He said it was probably overwatering. That's when I started writing everything down. I bought a little leather notebook and hid it behind the books on my nightstand. Every headache, every moment of dizziness, every meal. At first, it helped. I felt like I was doing something, like I was taking back control. But after a few weeks, even that felt dangerous. I started imagining him finding it, reading my doubts, learning my suspicions. So I stopped writing. I started pretending instead. Pretending I was fine. Pretending I didn't feel my heart race every time he walked into the room. I became an actress in my own home, smiling at the right moments, laughing just enough to keep him from asking questions. He noticed, of course. He always notices. "You've been quiet lately," he said one night, handing me a bowl of lentil stew. I forced a smile. "Just tired." He tilted his head and stared for a second too long. "You sure you're okay?" I wanted to scream. I wanted to say, "No, I'm not okay. I think you're killing me." Instead, I said, "Of course." Then there was the day he locked the medicine cabinet. I didn't even realize it at first. I reached for a painkiller, and the little door wouldn't open. "Oh," he said when I asked. "I noticed you've been taking a lot of those lately. Thought it'd be good to keep track." Keep track. Like I'm a child. Like I'm a patient. Like I'm his patient. That night, I lay awake with my eyes wide open while he slept next to me. I couldn't remember the last time I felt safe in this bed. I couldn't even remember the last time I slept through the night. I started skipping meals entirely. I told him I wasn't hungry, that I'd already eaten. He began watching me eat, waiting, eyes fixed on my fork like he was measuring something. The next morning, I checked my weight. I had lost 9 pounds in 3 weeks. Mark kissed my forehead and said, "You look amazing, by the way. Radiant, radiant." I wonder how many women looked radiant in the weeks before they disappeared. I needed proof. Proof that I wasn't imagining it. Proof that I wasn't losing my mind. So I made an appointment at a private clinic, under a different name. Told Mark I was meeting a friend for coffee, wore lipstick so I wouldn't look pale, carried an old tote bag with nothing but a Ziploc of my morning urine and a faint hope that someone would believe me. The waiting room was small, sterile. I couldn't sit still. Every sound made me flinch. A nurse called me in, drew blood, asked too many questions I couldn't answer truthfully. I mumbled something about medication side effects. She nodded politely. No judgment, but her eyes lingered just a moment too long. I checked the results online 3 days later. No abnormalities, no signs of heavy metals, no toxins, no substances out of range. Nothing. I stared at the screen until my eyes blurred. Was I wrong? Was it really just stress? Anxiety? Had I built an entire nightmare inside my head, woven a web of paranoia from nothing? No, because something still felt wrong, because that night I found the cabinet unlocked again and half my pills missing. I didn't confront him. I knew better by now. Instead, I did something reckless. I left my phone recording in the bedroom when I went to take a bath, just to see, just to know. I wasn't sure what I expected. Maybe the sound of a drawer opening, maybe silence. What I heard was worse. He came in, stood by the door, whispered something. I played the audio back 6 times before I could make out the words. "She's starting to forget." That was it. That's all he said. No context, no tone, just a soft statement into an empty room. Or maybe not empty, maybe to someone. I felt cold from the inside out. The next day, I searched the trash. Not just the bathroom, all of it. I opened old coffee filters, peeled apart damp paper towels, dumped out the bedroom bin. I didn't know what I was looking for until I found it. The empty packaging of a supplement I'd never bought. The label was foreign, half rubbed off. I looked it up online. A memory aid, used in early dementia patients. Not FDA approved. Known side effects, confusion, dizziness, cognitive fog. I froze. Was he drugging me not to kill me, but to make me doubt myself? To erase me slowly? I didn't sleep that night. I lay still, hands clutched tight to the edge of the mattress, and listened to his breathing beside me. Deep, calm, steady. Mine was shallow, uneven. My heart a metronome of panic. He reached for me in his sleep, hand resting on my hip. I didn't move. I wondered, not for the first time, if I'd already passed the point of no return. If the version of me who knew how to leave had already been dismantled, bit by bit, meal by meal, word by word. I started testing him. Small things at first, leaving my vitamins untouched on the kitchen counter, pretending to sleep while watching his reflection in the mirror, switching our mugs when he wasn't looking. I needed to catch him. I needed something real before my mind unraveled entirely. But Mark was always 3 steps ahead. One morning, I woke up to find my journal gone, the one I had stopped writing in weeks ago, hidden behind the old books no one ever touched. I tore the bedroom apart in silence. Nothing. Then, hours later, I found it neatly placed back on my nightstand, open to a blank page. No note, no confrontation, just that. I didn't write in it again. From then on, he watched me more openly. No more of that polite husband performance. He'd glance up from his coffee and just stare, unblinking, calm, like he was studying a specimen. "You've been so forgetful lately," he'd say, almost affectionately. "Are you sure you're okay?" Every word like a thread pulling at my sanity. Even the house itself felt different. The rooms echoed too much. Lights flickered for no reason. Doors I knew I closed were left ajar. I started keeping my purse with me everywhere, even to the bathroom. I didn't trust anything to be untouched anymore. Then came the pills. He offered them gently one evening. "Doctor said it'll help with your nerves," he said. I hadn't seen a doctor. At least, I didn't think I had. He showed me a bottle with my name on it. The label looked official. A pharmacy I didn't recognize. I smiled, took the bottle, hid it the moment he wasn't looking. When I Googled the name of the drug, nothing came up. Not a single result. No references, no similar matches, nothing. That night, I couldn't breathe. I stood in the kitchen, lights off, windows open, trying to pull air into lungs that wouldn't expand. The silence was so thick it buzzed. I looked down and realized my hands were shaking. Not just tremors, violent, involuntary shudders like my body was trying to escape itself. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run. But where? To whom? My sister lived 2 hours away. We barely spoke anymore. Mark said she was a bad influence, always filling my head with negativity. I hadn't called her in months. My friends? We used to have wine nights every Friday. That was before the move, before I changed, before I needed space. I had no one, and that was the cruelest realization of all. He hadn't just isolated me physically. He dismantled every exit, every support beam, every escape hatch, quietly, kindly, with a smile. Now, even reality didn't feel like mine. One evening, I found a photo on my phone of us at a restaurant I don't remember visiting. I looked happy, laughing, holding his hand. I stared at it for 10 minutes. I couldn't recall that moment. Not even a flicker. I should have deleted the photo. Instead, I stared at her. Me, like she was someone I used to know. Someone I couldn't reach anymore. The idea came to me around 3 a.m., in that strange place between sleep and terror where your thoughts don't ask for permission. What if I filmed him? Not with my phone. That was too obvious, too risky. He checked it sometimes, casually, like it was normal. I needed something he wouldn't expect. So the next morning, while he went out for groceries, I dug through the storage closet and found my old webcam. Dusty, slow, forgotten. I set it up on the bookshelf behind a row of hardcovers, lens barely peeking out between the spines. I hit record. Then I left the house for the day. I didn't know what I was hoping for. Proof? A confession? Maybe just something that made me feel real again. When I got back, everything seemed untouched. Mark greeted me with that warm, empty smile. "You're glowing today," he said, brushing hair from my cheek. I flinched. Later that night, when he went to shower, I retrieved the footage. The video was uneventful, until it wasn't. At 1:12 p.m., Mark entered the room with a small bottle. He knelt beside my nightstand, opened the drawer, and swapped something out. Then he paused, looked up, straight at the camera, as if he knew. I slammed the laptop shut, heart in my throat. When I opened it again minutes later, the file was gone, deleted. No trace, not even in the recycle bin. I didn't sleep. My body refused. I paced the hallways like a ghost, doors cracking, floors creaking, until I ended up in the bathroom, gripping the edge of the sink like it was the only thing keeping me here. That's when I saw it. Tucked behind the toilet tank, folded into a square, A note. In my handwriting, I opened it with trembling fingers. You are not crazy. He is doing this. Do not let him see this note. Do not trust your memory. Do not eat what he gives you. Keep acting normal. I dropped it. It felt like swallowing a scream. When had I written it? Why didn't I remember? How many more had I left? Suddenly, the fog wasn't just fear, it was manufactured, sculpted, engineered. And worst of all, I might have helped him do it. I haven't spoken aloud in 3 days. There's something about silence that feels safer now. Like if I stay quiet enough, he won't see the parts of me still trying to escape. Like maybe if I move gently, breathe softly, smile just right, he'll forget that I know. That I remember. At least, I think I do. I've hidden the note under the floorboard in the guest room closet. I taped another copy to the back of a painting, and last night I stitched one into the lining of my coat. Not because I think he'll find them, but because I will. Or someone who needs them will. Because if this keeps going, if the haze gets thicker, if I forget who I am entirely, I want something to call me back, to remind me I'm not crazy, I'm in danger. I look at him now, the way you'd look at a man petting a dog he plans to drown. He makes coffee, folds my laundry, kisses my forehead, gentle hands, careful words, the perfect husband. And every time he smiles, I wonder how long he's been rehearsing it. If he watches videos on manipulation, if he studied my fears the way you study prey. I wonder if he ever loved me at all, or if he just wanted someone to disappear slowly enough that no one would notice. People still call, friends, my sister. I let it ring. What would I say? Hey, I think my husband is erasing me. They'd send me to a hospital. He'd nod solemnly, play the victim, say, I've been so worried about her. And maybe he is worried. Not that I'll fall apart. That I'll remember who I was before he rewrote me. Sometimes I catch a glimpse of that girl. In the mirror, in old messages, in songs I used to sing while driving. She's fading, but she's not gone. Not yet. So I smile. I wait. And I plan. Because if no one's coming to save me, then I have to save myself. Even if I don't remember how. Even if tomorrow I wake up and think the tea tastes fine again. When you disappear slowly enough, no one ever sees you vanish.